Hello, I've had one of these DJI Naza-lite flight controllers sitting around for about 1.5 years now. It came with a bunch of other stuff that I bought in an online auction, and I've never really been particularly interested in trying it, given all the other really cool open source and cheaper and much more flexible flight controller options there are out there. So it's just been sitting around, and I always thought that I'd find some sort of a frame eventually to put it on and sell it. So that's what I've finally ended up doing. This frame here, I saw this on Banggood, and it was $130 for the frame and the motors and the ESCs, which are in here, and the props. And I thought that was a pretty decent deal. There are only 6 of them, by the way, so I don't think you'll be getting one anymore. It's made of PCB sort of material. These are aluminium, like 0.5mm thick aluminium, which is rather odd. These days they'd be just carbon fiber, I think, but I think this kit is a little bit dated. Some of the ways that they've used to construct things are done a lot better by the S550 hexacopter that I have. But it works pretty well, it goes together very nicely. I don't know why I'm doing such a review of this frame, because like I say, you can't get one, but it's made by Gaui, I think, or it has the name MRT, Multi-Rotor Technology, Gaui Multi-Rotor Technology maybe. The props are just soft plastic, so they're not the flashiest props. But anyway, this video was about this, so just in case anybody cares about my opinions on how this flew, I did a little bit of flying a couple of days ago, and that's what I'm going to show you now. Just to briefly give my overall opinions before we get started. I can't say I'm overly impressed with it, but we are looking at, I think, 2011, maybe 2012 or something this came out. So if you looked at APM or whatever else was around at the time, it might not have been so flash either. But yeah, very bare bones when it comes to the setup application that you put on the computer. Nice codes being shown on here, this LED, that's good. GPS seems to work okay. This particular one doesn't seem to have any magnetic declination built in, even though you do connect to the internet when you're setting it up. Maybe you could figure out no. Hey, how does ArduPilot set up the magnetic declination? Does it do it when you arm? Because if it would have to have a database of the magnetic declination of any point on the Earth, wouldn't it? Yeah, I've never thought about that. But anyway, I found that it was toilet bowling quite a lot until I built in or adjusted the declination physically by turning the GPS puck a little bit to the side like that. But anyway, you'll see all that in this following footage. Right, well that was rate mode. At this point, if I was using a clean flight or something like that, I would maybe set the D gain a little bit higher, or P slightly lower, probably one or the other. But you can't do that with these, so I think I'll just leave it. I mean, it's alright. Let's try attitude mode, which is just angle mode. Yeah, it's a bit wobbly. quite wobbly. I mean, there's almost no wind. Gee. Yeah, it's not bad. I think it's supposed to be keeping its altitude here. Just check what I've got. Yeah. Sticker's in the middle, so it should be preserving altitude. I'm not touching the throttle here, so it is actually holding the height fairly well. Considering how quickly it's moving around. Whoa! Shit! That was a bit of a worry. Alright, let's try it and just bring it down a little bit maybe. And let's try the GPS mode. So now, hands off. Oops, just make it a bit higher. Okay, so all of the angle corrections are being done by the flight controller here. Oh boy, it's toilet bowling like crazy. Wow, okay, that's not going to work, is it? Well, I did calibrate the compass last night. Let me do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go, that will go yellow, orange, whatever. And then you got to do this. See if it helps. Okay, stick in the middle. Get away from it a bit. No, look, it's toilet bowling again, isn't it? What the hell? It's almost like the compass calibration does nothing at all. This is just never going to work, is it? Look. Whee! Well, it's quite nice in attitude mode. It's not terrible. It's a bit wobbly, but you know. I might see if fiddling with the gains will improve anything. Alright, I think I figured out the issue with the toilet bowling. Apparently you just need to turn the compass a little bit to account for the magnetic declination at this location of the Earth, which is about 20 degrees. So I turned it 20 degrees one way and it made it a lot worse. So 20 degrees the other way, and it seems to be holding its position reasonably well. Not that good really. I mean, there's a little bit of wind, not much though, and it's still wobbling. I changed the gains a little bit, but I think it's going to take quite a lot more time experimenting with the gains to get a number that works nicely. This isn't too bad. Alright, let's see what full stick forward does. Seems to settle alright. Where's it going to go to? Looks like it's heading to a specific point. Yeah, there. That makes sense. Okay, seems to be working fairly well. Like most of the flight controllers, it seems to lose a little bit of altitude when you go horizontally like that when it's in an altitude hold mode, especially if you're moving quickly. I'm not touching the throttle here, it's just the pitch and roll stick I'm playing with at the moment. Okay, I'll let it go there. So the next thing I'd like to test is a return to home, but I actually don't know how to do that because they only let you set up 3 modes on your switch, and return to home is not one of them, so I might have to look into that a little bit more. Seems to be holding its position well enough, but it is very wobbly and it's yeah, I suppose that's... I'm pretty sure that the Argicopter could do better. I mean, it's not that windy. Oh, look at that. Oh boy, shit. I had to use the throttle there to fix that. I just thought I'd turn it round and yaw and see what happened. Let's try that again. Okay, so... yeah, so it should be doing position hold there. Oh, come on. Yeah, it's really hard to get the stick in just the right position where it holds level. Right, now if I just turn it slowly and yaw, that's yaw. I didn't touch throttle at all. Let me bring it back down. Now I'm touching throttle. Maybe I did touch throttle. Okay, yawing to the right. What? Wow, all I did was... oh, we still aren't? Just give it another second. Should disarm. Oh, it's got the red flashing light, that's not good. Yeah, all I did there was just tap it just like that in yaw, and it decided it wanted to go down or up. Why is that like that? It wasn't there before. What the hell? I wonder if that was a battery warning. I thought the battery warning was supposed to be orange. Right, let's try this yaw circle again. So all I'm going to do, oh geez, I didn't touch anything, look, it's just decided it wanted to land. Oh, I think battery's dying, hold on. Yeah, that doesn't feel good, it feels really weak. That must be... Ah, there was a setting where it said it was going to descend if the battery got weak. However, all of my 3 LEDs... No, the battery is not weak because that battery alarm checker thing would be beeping if it was. So what's going on? It's just poor altitude control? Yeah, it's taking full, that was full throttle just to lift off the ground a little bit. Even though the batteries are fine. I might just turn the battery monitor feature off, just in case that is what's making it weak. Okay, I turned the battery protection feature off. Cells are at 3.6 volts. I'm just wondering if this frame and everything is kind of heavy for the battery, so maybe the battery is just... No, seems to be fine. I was going to say maybe the battery is just struggling to lift this weight, but I guess it was that protection feature, huh? It's kind of annoying. Well, it's really getting quite windy now. Look at that. Just having to lean lean over. Ugh. Alright, let's see what GPS hold that. Oh, hey! Hey, whoa! Wow! So that's what happens when the batteries get low. It's not very good, is it? So you can see, hopefully you can see there, all 3 cells are still green, without load of course. The beeping that you heard was this beeps when they go past 3.3 volts per cell. So they must have just briefly gone, or one of the cells must have just briefly gone below 3.3 volts. But that's not really an excuse for tipping over and upside down and crashing, is it? I mean, even multi-weed didn't do that. It just sort of goes and goes down to the ground upright. Oh, nothing was broken, so lesson learned. Don't let it get anywhere near the low voltage point of the battery while you're flying. So after a little more investigation, I did figure out how to do a return to home, or a failsafe as it calls it. And I thought I might just show you this interface that they give you to do the settings, because a lot of people might not have actually seen this. This is the first time I've ever seen it. It's pretty bare and basic, but it gets the core features done, I guess you could say. This view screen is mostly just display. There is a little bit here where you can change something, but the rest of it is, these are not inputs. So you change these inputs, you change these values on the other pages. You can check that your sticks are moving and switches and so on, but there's nothing else that you can really change here. On this page you can choose which kind of a thing you have, unless you have a tricopter, in which case you can't. Mounting lets you tell it where the GPS is relative to the flight controller, which is rather strange. I don't know why it needs to know where the GPS is. That seems to me it doesn't really matter too much. Radio control tab again lets you check these, and you can also reverse them here if you want to. It's quite nice how you get this help whenever you mouse over stuff. On the left hand side there it changes to reflect the context of whatever you have your mouse over, which is quite good. Oh, and you can choose PPM or D-bus there. D-bus? S-bus? I think I'm using S-bus and it works alright. Yeah. So anyway, the failsafe is done here. You've got to get the modes channel, which is this one I have on a 3-position switch. You can see the blue is the active one at the current time. I seem to recall that I selected something in this mode here, but now it doesn't seem to be selectable, so I'm not sure what happened there. But these other two modes you don't get to make any choice, so you've just got attitude mode and GPS and manual. That's about it. So to get it to do a failsafe, unfortunately you can't just make a setting here to use one of these other switches. So even though it does know what these other switches are, you can't just say I want this switch to be failsafe, which would be the nice way to do it. The way they make you do it is you have to delve into the settings on your radio and set up a mix on a second switch in the radio menu on your transmitter, which is kind of annoying. I don't know why this interface couldn't do it for you, but anyway, so let's say I'm here, my second switch will offset this position just a little bit, and that'll put me into failsafe. So instead of doing that, if I have this switch down, it's going to do that. So that's how I eventually got it done. Gain lets you change the gains, but you don't really get much detail on it. This one here, just go back to here for a minute. This INH, I think it's something to do with changing the gains. So these two switches, maybe you can change the gains while you're flying, I think I read somewhere. But I didn't bother to do that, obviously. What else do we have here? Advanced speed of the motors when you're on the ground idling, I think that is. And there's different ways you can tell it to stop the motors when you land. What was it when you land? Oh, you can see the instructions on the left there. Failsafe, you can tell it to just land or to come home and land. And the altitude says here 20 meters, so if you wanted it to be something else, well, you can just go shove it, I guess. 20 meters it's going to be. There is a intelligent orientation control, which is I think it's called mag mode in clean flight or something. So it's instead of pitch and roll, so this red arrow is a pitch and roll, pitch, green arrow is a roll. So pitch forward and back will make the aircraft go forward and back in its own orientation system. This one over here is going to do it whichever way you're facing at the thing will be pitch and roll, will make it go forward away from you and backwards towards you, no matter which way it's facing, provided you're more than 10 meters away by the looks of it. And this one, I don't quite understand what this one is all about, but in any case I didn't use these, so I just had that off. Gimbal lets you do something, didn't really look at that. There are two extra outputs on the flight control I didn't use, F2 and F1. I guess you can control those somehow. And voltage, this was the problem I was having before, where it sort of stepped in and cut the speed of the props down a lot so that I didn't damage my batteries, which is, I guess, if you're expecting it to happen, it's not a bad idea. But I've actually turned it off now. They have a slightly strange way of setting this. Instead of just saying what voltage you should start doing that at, they get you to input what voltage without load you would like it to be, and then what difference you expect that to be when it's under load. So I've just gone for the way of I've just put 0 in here, and the voltage that I want the alarm to come on here, and I don't see why they have to have this sort of loss thing there as well. Let me just hold this there for a second so you can read the instructions on the left. It's a bit strange. Alright, tools, we have export and import of all settings. You can see what the gyro and the accelerometer are doing, and we can see if we need to calibrate the accelerometer. It's just a 1-point calibration, or at least this basic Cali thing is. Upgrade, we can check the firmware, and info just tells us the serial number and so on. And that's about it. Pretty bare, but it does the job. Okay, let's try the return to home feature, although they don't really call it return to home, they call it fail safe.
And I did just a quick test now, and I've already noticed a couple of differences between this and the way iNav and Algicopter do it. One is that I took off and I was hovering right here above the home point, and then when I switch into return to home, it waits a while, it doesn't immediately do anything, and then it goes way up, and then it landed over there. So there was no need to go up, it was only a meter above the home point. So that's kind of a little bit illogical to me. It should just land where it is, I would have thought. And the other thing was, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, the other thing was, while it's doing the return to home procedure, I have absolutely no control. Like, I could do my pitch and roll stick and it wasn't responding because it was going to hit the tree, almost. Came quite close to the tree and I wanted to just sort of nudge it to the side, but you can't do anything while it's in failsafe. It's almost like you've turned your radio off completely. I don't see why that should be the case. Anyway, let's give it a try. So the home point's going to be that stone that it's sitting on. Now why can't I arm it? Oh, you've got to use both sticks to arm, I forgot. Whoa, jeez. Alright, so we are in attitude mode. Let's put it into GPS mode. There's a little bit of wind, but it's hovering pretty nicely, staying in the right place, I think. So I just switched the failsafe on here, and you'll see that it doesn't do anything for a bit. Maybe it's just sort of waiting for the radio signal to come back, even though it has the radio signal, so that's really strange. And I don't think it's a good idea that it waits when you've given it an actual intentional failsafe signal, because you might have been... Why is it coming over here? It's going to go to the tree again, huh? What the hell is it doing? It seems to want to come directly over me all the time. I don't like that. You stay over there. Yeah, so it's not really the greatest, not the best return to home performance I've seen. It does turn the props off though when it lands. Wow, it's landing in almost exactly the same place. That's interesting. Alright, so it lands itself safely. I didn't show you there, but if I had have gone like this while it was doing that, nothing would have happened. But anyway, what I was saying about the way that it waits for a little bit when you flip it into failsafe, I don't like that too much, because it could be the case that you've just gone, say if I was going over there and I accidentally went over the trees and I couldn't see it, and it was, you know, still moving or something. I would want the failsafe to immediately react so that it raised itself up and came back, instead of doing whatever it was doing for another 5 seconds or whatever it was, the length of time that it waits. Anyway, so we're a good 6 meters or so from the home point. Let me just make sure that this is the home point, just in case it's going back to... I think I might have started it up over there, about there before, so let's just give it another chance to do better. Alright, okay, so I'll take it out there a bit more this time. Alright, failsafe on. Yeah, it's about 5 seconds before it does anything. Is it going to turn to face us? It turns as it moves by the looks. Whoa, hey! Wow, I'm not touching anything here. Okay, now I am, because it's bouncing up and down like crazy. Like, I had to abort that because it looked like it was going to hit that tree. It was just sort of going bounce like that. Let's try it from a little bit higher up. Okay, so that should be just hovering there now. This is GPS mode. Looks pretty good. Oh, whoops, facing that way, huh? Well, all I did was slowly yaw it, and it skyrocketed up there. Not very good, is it, in general? Man. Well, it skyrocketed up, and it's not returning to the set altitude that I had it at. I found with Arducopter that if you have a heavy frame, heavy in yaw inertia, where the props are just a little bit too light to meet the demands of the yaw that you're telling it to, it will do that skyrocketing thing up as well. But when it's reached the yaw that you wanted, it will duly come back down to the altitude that it was supposed to be at, but this one didn't do that. Anyway, let's go out that way a bit. Gotta say, it's not very confidence inspiring, this whole thing. Better than no return to home, I suppose. Okay, just let go of the stick there. So the little problem with the compass declination, or the compass direction, should not have accounted for the way it was bouncing up and down like crazy when it came back then. So anyway, return to home, or failsafe. Hands off. Yep, it's doing it again. Look at that. It's bouncing up and down. Looks like at least it's high enough to make it back this time. Oh, it knows where I am. Stay away. Right, so if I try and do something here, look. No sir, cannot do. It's supposed to be coming down. There we go. Oh wow, it's like... Uh-oh. A little bit rough, but not terrible. Alright, so it's, what is this, like 3.5 meters from the home point. So overall, not very confidence inspiring, but the reality is that in practice it may just save you from a crash. So it's better than not having it, I guess. I just changed the compass position a little bit more. I think I might have got the declination a little bit better now, but in any case, that wasn't really the issue with the return to home. It was more the bouncing altitude was what I was worried about. But let's just do one more return to home before we finish off the video. And let's come from that side this time. From there. 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, it's about 5 seconds. Oh shit, I forgot about the bouncing. Power lines being in the way was not very clever, was it? Those lines are not live, by the way. They're switched off, so if anybody's watching my videos worrying that I'm going to ruin something, it would only ruin the multi-rotor, not the power lines, and there's nothing out there that uses the power anyway, so relax. Oh, that looks a bit more stable. Yeah, I think the compass change helped. I don't like this sort of bouncing down though, eh? Look at that. It's like it's coming down in increments, which is, I don't really see the point of that. It'd be better just to come down smoothly. Anyway, it works well enough. I don't like it a whole lot, but I mean, you know, compared to Arducopter especially, it's doesn't really hold a candle to that kind of performance, but it might just be good enough. So I think I'm just about through this battery now. So, oh, it doesn't. It's backwards here, isn't it? I have to turn it around. It doesn't turn itself around when it comes back. Another setting that you can't change, I guess. Oh well. Anyway, that's going to finish my thoughts on this, I think. Thanks for watching. Bye.